Someone tried to stand in your way. They tried to kill your momentum, and they failed miserably. It doesn't matter what their name is. It doesn't matter what kind of game they played or how clever they think they were. It doesn't even matter if they're still walking around convinced they won. Because heaven doesn't take orders from anyone trying to destroy what I have already marked as mine. You are here right now because I led you here. And while you were still trying to make sense of the wreckage, I was already behind the scenes, undoing the damage. I'm peeling back the layers of that sabotage in dimensions your eyes can't even see yet. But believe me, it's happening. Stop for a second. Just breathe. This message was written for you. Stay with me until the very end. Because before we're finished, I'm going to give you the protection protocol that seals your blessing, making sure no human hand can ever touch it again. It's not just anger you're feeling, is it? It's that heavy space between rage and a sadness you can't quite put into words. It's a kind of mourning, grieving the version of the world where the people who were supposed to have your back wouldn't have done what they did. You know that feeling when the initial shock wears off and the tears dry up, leaving nothing but a deafening silence? It's the kind of silence that settles in your kitchen at 6 in the morning. You're standing by the window. The coffee in your mug is turning cold, and the scene just keeps replaying in your head. That one comment made behind your back. That calculated move designed to keep you from leveling up. That strategic forgetfulness that cost you the very thing you were about to receive. You're standing there, cold coffee, hot temper. The heaviest part isn't even what they did. It's that you saw it. You saw the gears turning. You know it wasn't an accident or a misunderstanding. It was intentional. And having to carry that knowledge without being able to scream, without being able to point a finger, without looking like the crazy one, was the second betrayal. The act was the first. The forced silence that followed was the second. You put on a brave face that day. You smiled. You shook hands. You did what you had to do. But later, sitting in your car at a red light with your hands gripped tight on the steering wheel, the question came back. Why didn't God do something? You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part, you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. Wheel, the question came back. Why didn't God do something? Why did I have to swallow that? Why did the people who should have defended me stay quiet? Then the light turned green and you drove on. But the question stayed. You aren't weak because this got to you. You're human. And the fact that you're still standing after what you've been through, that you're still searching for a word to sustain you when everything visible has failed, that is a level of grit most people will never know. Hit the like button as your public amen. Heaven keeps a record of what you confess in the light. Before we go any further, I need to tell you what's about to happen here. First, the spiritual truth behind your pain. What feels like a block isn't actually a block. It's a filter. I didn't let anyone through who wasn't supposed to be there. And the very thing they tried to use against you just activated a level of protection over your life that you haven't even seen the full extent of yet. But you will. Once this protection is turned on, it stays on. Second, a 3-step protocol you can execute today. Not next week, not when things settle down. Today. Because the window is open right now, and windows don't stay open forever. Third, a declaration you're going to carry with you tomorrow, the day after, and into next week, for whenever the enemy tries to make you doubt what was settled here. Don't leave yet. Stay until the end. I heard what was whispered about you in private. I saw the move before it even reached you. Your name was protected long before you ever needed it to be. Close your eyes for a second, or just look away from the screen. What I'm about to tell you won't work if your attention is divided. Let everything else wait. Bring your focus here. There are signs that heaven hasn't just seen what was done to you, but is actively moving on your behalf. These aren't coincidences. They are confirmations tailored specifically to your story. I'm going to name every single one of them. The first sign is a strange quiet that moved in without asking. You expected the anger to last longer. And it did, for a while. But then, without any external apology or resolution, a quietness arrived that didn't match your circumstances. It wasn't exhaustion or giving up. It felt more like the silence that comes after. A major decision is made, like someone turned down the volume on your internal chaos without telling you. You probably called it burnout or resignation. Maybe you were worried you were just becoming numb. But that quiet has a name. It's the peace I give to the ones I've already shielded. It shows up before the problem is solved because it isn't a result of the solution. It's the evidence that the process is already working. When peace shows up out of order, it's not weakness. It's a sign of a divine operation in a realm you can't see yet. The second sign is news about your attacker that reached you without you looking for it. You heard it from a friend, saw it on a feed, or just stumbled across a piece of information. You weren't hate scrolling. You weren't monitoring them. The news just landed in your lap, and what you heard showed that things aren't going so well for the one who tried to hurt you. Or maybe it showed that the story they tried to build against you is starting to crack from the inside out. You called it karma or a coincidence. Maybe you felt a mix of satisfaction and guilt for feeling that satisfaction. But there are no coincidences in my jurisdiction. That was a targeted notification. Not to feed a petty ego, but to let you know that I saw it. I don't show you what I'm doing by accident. I show you just enough so your faith has a place to land while the rest of the miracle is still in transit. The third sign is a door that opened exactly where the other one was slammed shut. You got a call, an email, or a connection in a completely different area than you were expecting. It wasn't in your original plan. It wasn't the route you mapped out. But when it clicked with a precision your original plan never could have achieved. It was like the pieces were custom made for this specific fit. The block they put in your way didn't stop you. It redirected you to a path I prepared in advance. The person who tried to close that door did exactly what I needed them to do, so you'd stop looking at the wrong entrance. The right door was down a different hallway. You had to stand at that closed door just long enough for the new one to be ready. The obstacle wasn't against your destiny. It was the GPS to it. The fourth sign is a gift or a talent that was dormant but is starting to stir again. Something you buried, delayed, or silenced within yourself is asking for permission to breathe again. A project, an idea, a skill you shelved after the betrayal. Maybe you associated that gift with the environment that hurt you, so you hid it to stay safe. But it's back. Not as a faint wish, but as an internal pressure that refuses to be ignored. What they tried to suppress in you is rooted in my calling. And a calling cannot be aborted. It only hibernates. The return of this passion isn't a timing fluke. It's a sign that the season of suppression is over and the season of expression has arrived. What was buried by those trying to silence you didn't die. It stayed in reserve, waiting for the ground to be ready for what was always yours. The fifth sign is the right person crossing your path at the exact wrong time for your enemy. Someone entered your life recently who shouldn't be there according to the logic of those who tried to isolate you. An alliance no one calculated. A meeting no one coordinated. A presence that arrived from an angle your adversary couldn't predict or block. And this person has changed things, even if you can't put your finger on exactly how yet. I place guardians at the crossroads. The people trying to cut you off don't have access to my map. I was already positioning the right person while the plan against you was still being whispered in rooms you weren't invited to. They planned in the shadows. I move in the light. And the light arrives before they even realize the game has changed. The next sign is the hardest one to hear. It's the one the enemy has spent the most time trying to make you ignore. Because if you accept this sign, you realize that your access to heaven doesn't depend on you being perfect. The sixth sign is the prayer you prayed out of pure anger that was heard just as clearly as any other. You prayed with your teeth clenched. You came to heaven with a broken voice and words that weren't pretty. You were honest about the pain, the injustice, and the desperate desire to see consequences. You expressed an anger you didn't know how to name in a way that felt spiritual. And afterward, you felt ashamed. You felt like your tone invalidated the prayer. You felt like you had to go back with a proper attitude to be heard. I hear the heart, not the grammar. David brought me entire psalms screaming for justice against his enemies. Jeremiah brought me words that would be scandalous in most Sunday services. Moses brought me raw complaints in the dirt of the desert. I didn't correct their tone. I honored their honesty. The most powerful prayer you've ever prayed wasn't your most articulate. It was your most honest. You don't need a nice prayer to be heard. You need a real heart. And yours reached me. Every angry word, every tear that wouldn't fall, every scream you swallowed in your car. It all arrived, and I answered. The response just hasn't taken the form you're expecting yet, but it's coming. Type "free" in the comments if this word is hitting home for you. Close your eyes again. Take a deep breath. Focus. There is a story you need to hear. Two stories actually, one from the Word and one from the world, and they both lead to the same truth. Joseph was his father Jacob's favorite. That visible favor put a target on his back before he ever did anything wrong. His brothers saw what he carried. They saw the anointing. They saw the favor. And they decided, in a meeting Joseph wasn't invited to, that they couldn't live with it. They plotted. They waited for the perfect moment. And when it came, they threw him in a pit. They sold him. They lied to their father. They built a narrative that protected them while destroying the one thing they couldn't control. Joseph wasn't delusional about what his brothers did. He knew. He saw their faces when they looked down into that pit. He heard the haggling as they sold him like property. He spent years in a foreign land, in a prison he didn't deserve because of a lie told with malicious intent. No resolution. No letter from home saying the plan was still on. No sign that his promise hadn't been sold along with his freedom. But when the moment came, the brothers who sold him were on their knees before the very man they tried to eliminate. Not because Joseph had waited for revenge. Not because he had been strategically nursing a grudge, but because the life heaven planned for him couldn't be blocked by people who didn't have access to the blueprints. The plan was never in his brother's hands, and what is not in the hands of the destroyer cannot be destroyed. Joseph told them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Pay attention to that. He didn't deny what happened. He didn't minimize it. He didn't say his brothers meant well deep down, or that it was all just a misunderstanding. He said, "It happened. The intent was evil. And yet, the destiny was fulfilled. Not despite the obstacle, but through it. The very thing they tried to use to break you, I was already converting into building materials before you even knew you were under attack." There is a documented phenomenon in rock gardens where a seed falls in the wrong place, between stones, where it shouldn't sprout. Where the soil is packed tight, light is blocked, and space is denied on all sides. But botanists have seen cases where the root doesn't stop. It grows slowly, invisible to anyone on the outside, reaching for moisture and light at a deeper level than the rock can reach. And when it emerges, it doesn't just grow around the rock. It grows through it. The rock is split from the inside out by a silent root no one saw working. The rock had no idea it was being shattered. It was convinced the whole time that it had successfully blocked the growth. It wasn't informed of what was happening beneath the surface. Until the day the internal growth became visible to the whole world. The people who put obstacles in your life have no way of knowing what is happening beneath the surface of your story. Real growth doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the obstacle to move. It follows the impulse of the life within until it finds the breaking point the obstacle can't contain. Do you identify more with Joseph or the tree? Write in the comments which one resonates with your journey. Let me stop for a full minute. You went through a deliberate attempt at sabotage. It wasn't your imagination. You weren't being too sensitive. You didn't misinterpret them. It was real. You felt the injustice because there was injustice. You carried the silence because no one else would name what was done. No one in that room validated what you saw clearly. You were left holding the weight of a truth everyone else pretended didn't exist. Those are the facts. Someone acted against you with intent. The damage was real and the consequences were concrete. But you didn't fall apart. And while the injustice sat there without a visible answer, you stayed faithful. You kept showing up, looking for something to sustain you when what you could see wasn't enough. That isn't weakness. That isn't being naive. That is the profile of someone chosen to carry what those who have been protected their whole lives could never handle. If you haven't been tested at your level, you don't get access to what you're about to receive. The test wasn't a punishment, it was a security clearance. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. I saw when they planned it. I saw when they executed it. I saw when you stood alone, unable to defend your name in the very place the attack was happening. I wasn't absent. I was present in a way you couldn't perceive then. I was containing the damage so it wouldn't be worse. I was preparing what was next. I was recording what was done to my child. Your name isn't stained in my book. It's in bold, because the one who is tested with intent and doesn't give up on me deserves a seat that the untested can't even imagine. You don't have to collect the debt. The decree has already been issued, and the decree has your name on it, not theirs. You didn't survive by luck. You survived by decree. I saw every morning you woke up still carrying the weight, but chose to keep going anyway. I saw when you had every valid reason to quit, and you didn't. I saw when doubt came disguised as common sense, when that internal voice tried to convince you it was smarter to retreat than to persist, and you recognized it for what it was, and stayed. That wasn't just your personality. It was my hand holding onto what I wasn't willing to lose. You stayed because I sustained you, and I sustained you because what you carry is too valuable to be dropped. This gives you a specific authority. You don't have to prove you belong in the room. You don't have to stack up evidence that you're worthy. You've already been validated by the very process they tried to use to eliminate you. The fire meant to consume you only proved you were unburnable. Your name is recorded where no human hand can reach. I saw when they dragged your name through the mud in conversations you weren't there to hear. I saw the narrative they built about you when you weren't present to give the real version. I saw the versions of your story that circulated without your voice, without your context. And while their name was growing on ground that was being prepared to sink, I was shielding yours on a foundation that doesn't move. What is written in heaven about you cannot be erased by what is whispered on earth by people who don't have the original document. I am the author of who you are, and I don't transfer the rights to someone who tried to rewrite your story without the title. This means you can stop managing people's perception of you. Your real reputation is being written on a different level. The people who actually matter will find out the truth through the right channels at the right time without you having to play PR manager. The only defense that counts is the one heaven makes in the silence. What belongs to you cannot be blocked by someone who doesn't hold the deed. I saw the effort to keep you from receiving what was yours. I saw the maneuvers, the boys' clubs built to exclude you, the doors closed on purpose, the information withheld, the invitations that never came. What they didn't calculate is that an inheritance isn't given by the people in the field. It's given by the one who holds the title. And I hold the title. What belongs to you still belonged to you while they were trying to keep you from touching it. The block delayed the delivery. It didn't cancel the ownership. It didn't transfer the deed to the one who blocked it. And the time to receive what was in escrow has arrived. You can stop acting like your life depends on the permission of the people who tried to stop you. What is yours was never in their hands. The delay didn't cancel the inheritance. It was preserved, intact, waiting for the moment you were positioned not just to seek it, but to receive it. Which identity do you recognize in yourself today? Write the name of the one that hit deepest in the comments. Subscribe to the channel so the next word lands exactly where it needs to in your story. Now, I'm going to give you the protocol. But I need to be clear about what this isn't. This isn't a protocol for forgetting. I'm not asking you to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not asking you to act like everything is fine when it isn't. I'm not asking you to find something inspiring in a betrayal or to turn your attacker into a life coach. What happened, happened. Calling it what it is part of the protocol. This is the on-protocol of authoritative release. The difference between releasing and giving up is that releasing doesn't erase the crime. It transfers the jurisdiction. You are moving the case to the proper authority, and the proper authority isn't you. Step 1. Name what was done, one last time, out loud. Not as rumination, not as the mental replay you've watched 1,000 times. Just once, with clarity, out loud. You are going to state what was done against you as a witness testimony, not a cycle of pain. The formula is simple. This was done. I saw it. And I am handing it over to the judge who has the authority to act, because that judgment doesn't belong to me. Find a private moment today. Say it once, out loud, with the clarity of a formal statement. Do not repeat it after that. Saying it once is testimony. Repeating it is a prison. Step 2. Strip the attacker of the power to define what is yours. As long as you're looking at what was blocked as if it depends on the blocker to release it, you're giving them authority they don't have. You're acting like your future is in their pocket. That perception is the exact cage they want you in. Because as long as you believe they have power over your destiny, your eyes are on them instead of on the move heaven is making for you. What is yours was never in their hands. It was in heaven's hands. The belief that they held it is the lie. Today's declaration is, what belongs to me was never in your hands. It was always in God's hands. I strip you of any role in the story of my promise. You have no title to what is mine. You never did. Say that out loud. Not as a motivational quote, but as a legal decree of transfer. Step 3. Let heaven manage the response. You do not need to manage the consequences your attacker will face. That is not your job. When you try to manage it, when you monitor their life, when you check to see if the wheel has turned yet, when you wait for news of their downfall, you are keeping a tether attached to the person who hurt you. That tether drains your attention. It drains your energy. It steals the power that should be going toward building your new life. The decree has been issued. The response is being handled. Your part is to keep moving toward what is yours, as if the block has already been removed. Because it has. Move with the confidence of someone who knows they own the property and doesn't need to negotiate for it. The sign that you've received this protocol isn't a high or a rush of victory. It's a specific kind of quiet. A feeling that the weight has been shifted to someone else's shoulders. A lightness that doesn't make logical sense. If that feeling comes, that's your confirmation. If you are receiving this protocol, type "received" in the comments. In the next 72 hours, 3 things will be launched at you. Not maybe, it'll be definitely. First, Justified anger that keeps you trapped. It won't show up as bad anger. It will show up as justice. It will feel right to keep feeding the indignation because what they did was wrong. But justified anger, when held past the point of testimony, doesn't punish them. It tethers you to them. They move on while you return to the crime scene every hour as an involuntary witness. The specific weapon here is the mental rehearsal of what you should have said or done. Every time that replay runs, you lose energy. The scene doesn't change, but your cost goes up. When the replay starts in the next 72 hours, call it what it is. It's a tactic disguised as justice. Second, the wrong person sent to validate your bitterness. Someone will show up in the next few days who knows the story or a version of it, and they will validate everything you feel with so much detail that it feels like, finally, someone gets it. They will invite you to take the victim narrative one step further. They'll add more evidence to the pile. It will feel like true friendship. It will feel like solidarity. But watch out. If you leave that conversation feeling heavier, angrier, and more trapped than before, that person isn't a guardian. They're bait. Solidarity that doesn't move you forward is just company in a prison cell. Third, the wait for the apology that might never come. This will feel like a sense of fairness. The idea that you can't truly move on until they admit what they did, name the damage, and ask for forgiveness. In a perfect world, that would be fair. You deserve that recognition. But when your freedom is conditioned on their behavior, you've handed them the keys to your life. You've outsourced your healing to the person least interested in seeing you healed. Moving on without their sorry isn't giving up. It's refusing to let your restoration depend on their calendar. Beneath all three tactics is a whisper that you should have protected yourself better, that you were too trusting, that if you were smarter or harder, you wouldn't be here. That voice is not from me. That is the enemy trying to make you carry the guilt for someone else's betrayal. The guilt for a betrayal belongs to the betrayer. Do not pick up a tab you didn't run up. Type "protected" in the comments. The decree is sealed. Before we go, I need you to do something physical. Place both hands open on your lap, palms facing up. This is the posture of receiving, not clutching. Of someone who has let go, not someone who is still shaking a fist. Now, take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let go of their name, the scene, the weight, the replay that has run too many times. You don't have to push it. Just open your hands and let it drop. I saw you in the car, hands frozen on the wheel at the red light. I saw the coffee getting cold at 6 a.m. because you couldn't stop the thoughts. I saw when you smiled in public while being torn apart inside. I was there for every one of those moments. Not as a helpless observer, but as the one containing the real damage, preparing what was coming and recording every act committed against you. Your name is not stained. It is in bold. You are the one who went through the fire and didn't give up on me. You are the one I was preserving for what is arriving right now. What they tried to block, I am unblocking. Not in some distant future. Now. In moves that have already begun. In doors that have already shifted. In connections already positioned. Resources have already been rerouted to you. And what is moving toward you cannot be stopped. Because I gave the order. And my order doesn't require the permission of anyone who tried to put their name above mine in your life. What is yours is coming. And when it arrives, you will understand why the path went where it did. Not as a consolation prize for the hard times, but as a revelation of the strength you needed to carry the blessing that is landing now. Before you type in the comments, say this out loud right now. My name is protected. The block has been removed. What is mine is coming. Say it with your voice, not just in your head, because what is declared with the voice is confessed, and what is confessed is received. Amen. Type "done" in the comments. Leave a public record of what you received here. A decree is firmer when it's confessed in the open. Do you know someone carrying the weight of an unresolved injustice? Someone betrayed by a person they trusted, who had their name dragged through the mud and stopped trusting the world? Send this video to them today, not tomorrow. Today. They need this word at the right hour. And if they want to go deeper, the link is in the first comment, waiting for them just like it waited for you. The next video continues this message. Stay here. It is done. You are not the same person you were when this message started. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.